recording impact it? That's the real question. Is it gonna dump a bunch of frames because I'm recording now too? Nope, doesn't look like it. Awesome. All right, I like that. So yeah, I'm gonna cover a few, just two today, because I have to go somewhere at 1:30. It's 12:20 now. So yeah, I'm not gonna be doing this long today, but this might be how I end up doing my new format for recording videos. But this was, I'm now idle. So this was by Semaphore, and it's about Biden potentially making a return to the campaign conversations. I don't think that's a good idea. I think we all saw what happened before. It's just, I don't. All right, let's get into it. This is by David Weigel, political reporter for the website, and this was May 5th, 2026 at pretty much 4:20. All right, so the news. Somehow, before his party finished reckoning with his legacy, Joe Biden returned. The former president waded into two Democratic primaries last week to endorse candidates who'd worked for his administration. Keisha Lance Bottoms in the Georgia gubernatorial race, and Dan Coe, who's seeking an open house seat in Massachusetts. And in California's gubernatorial battle, or I don't know how to say that, so I'm just going to keep pronouncing it wrong. You're just going to have to deal with it. It's just going to be pronounced wrong the whole time. Like, that's it. No questions asked. So in California, Biden's former Health and Human Services Secretary Xavier Becerra has picked up endorsements and momentum ever since disgraced ex-rep Eric Swalwell bowed out. He hasn't gotten formal backing, but Becerra is running openly on his record in Biden's administration. He says, I cannot read today. I don't know what's going on. Talk about window. Yeah, let's see. View. Box. Pop that on. Alright, so that should work better now. Alright, so now I have a chat, or some kind of chat. Alright, let's just restart this. Alright, so the news. I'm just gonna, yeah, here, cancel that recording. Alright, and go. Hey, thanks for checking this out with me today. So I just got an article pop up on my feed, and it is about Biden potentially making a return to the campaign conversations. Do I think that's a good idea? I don't know. We're going to find out, because right now I've never really been for his politics, never really ever listened or cared about what he was saying much of. It didn't impact me other than just kind of negatively, so I don't know. I don't have too much to say about that. It's what's done is done at this point, and I don't think we should have a repeat of that type of history. But overall, this was by David Weigel on May 5th, 2026, pretty much at 4:20. So the news. Somehow, before his party finished reckoning with his legacy, Joe Biden returned. The former president waded into two Democratic primaries last week to endorse candidates who'd worked for his administration. So he just kind of walked in. Keisha Lance Bottoms in the Georgia gubernatorial race, and Dan Coe, who's seeking an open house seat in Massachusetts. And in California's gubernatorial battle, Biden's former Health and Human Services Secretary Xavier Becerra has picked up endorsements and momentum ever since disgraced ex-rep Eric Swalwell bowed out. He hasn't gotten formal backing, but Becerra is running openly on his record in Biden's administration. Okay, so yeah, he's just kind of using, I work for Biden, so I have experience doing this. You should vote for me. So yeah, that's what most people end up doing. I mean, that's pretty much the way to get elected. So The beginnings of Biden nostalgia and Democratic primaries show how cleanly the party is hoping to pivot this year's midterms to President Donald Trump's economic record, effectively recasting its 2024 defeat as an affordability battle that now can be won. Democrats have ignored Trump's frequent insults of his predecessor, pegging it as a distraction from the president's own unpopularity with swing voters. Yeah, I mean, Trump's highlighting why he was unpopular, though, not direct. He's just giving examples of what he did that lost the swing voters. I mean, he's not directly saying, like, he's not like sitting there like insulting him like, oh, I hate Biden. He's a war criminal. I don't think he said anything like that. It's not. He's just insulting him based on things that the entire country saw. So it's not. I mean, maybe he ramps it up a little bit too much, which I can agree with. He definitely does. But that's kind of obvious too. That is who he is. That's just who Trump is. There's also more appreciation for Kamala Harris among party voters than among its strategists, which helps inform the mini Biden resurgence. Candidates see the same pattern playing out when it comes to the former president. They're galvanized by Trump's continued efforts to question the 2020 election too. Biden's approval is 83% in the district, said Deputy White House assistant, who is running for a seat that backed Biden by 27 points and Harris by 21. I think that Trump's aggression, people even more so, realize that his leadership, both as a person and his policies, are sorely missed. No, I don't think people miss him like that. Not they miss the leniency. They miss the generosity and the freedom that Biden gave people. Like, hey, stay home, do nothing, don't contribute, just hang out. Let's just all party all the time and not, and if you say anything wrong, well, that's not right of you. We're going to kick you out of society. That's what we're going to do. Like, I wouldn't say it was so clean cut that it's like, oh, people are missing it like crazy. So I don't know. Biden left office as the first one-term Democratic president since Jimmy Carter. With approval ratings under 40%, he angered some allies on the way out, pardoning his son Hunter after promising not to and suggesting that he, unlike Harris, could have won the 2024 election. Well, then why did he stop? Like, after promising to not. Few Democrats believe that outside of Biden's inner circle. Exactly. So no one believes that he was going to win. That's why he backed out of the entire race in the first place. Former President Barack Obama hit the trail for Democrats in last year's competitive elections, but Biden stayed away. He spoke up after the off-year races were over, addressing the Nebraska Democrats at a party dinner at Gaza protesters were kept behind a police line. Yeah, that sounds about right. That's their party. They got Gaza protesters outside of an event that was addressing Democrats. You can't make that up. They're protesting their own people, and this was a while ago. We handed Donald Trump, literally, not figuratively, the strongest economy in the world. That's a lie. That's a lie. He put in $8.4 trillion worth of U.S. debt. So, no, not quite true. Said in Omaha. That set the tone for his next political speech, a commemoration of his 2020 South Carolina primary win, in which he derided Trump for a net loss in his first term, net job loss. Few Democrats were as committed as Biden to defending his record, but the former president's allies believe he's being vindicated by Trump. In National Harvard-Harris polling this year, 53% of voters said that the economy was worse than it had ever been under Biden. Really? And 62%, yeah, of course. A few Democrats committed as Biden defending his record. President, like, in National Harvard-Harris polling. Yeah, Harvard-Harris polling. What even is that? But that's still, that's only 3% more than half say that it's worse than Biden. So that's like saying if Trump does one thing that changes it and gets 15% of those people to say, hey, actually no, Maybe it's not as bad as it was. Now all of a sudden, Biden is. If 40% of people say that is, judging by this, then that would be worse under Biden. So, and 62% blame Trump for the decline. 62 and 53. That's a weird. Oh, they're unrelated. The Democratic candidates and party leaders who saw through the endless yelling about his age and stayed focused on what he actually delivered for the American people are the ones earning his endorsement, said Nebraska Democratic Party Chair Jane Fleming Klebe. And they will win their elections because voters see the good Joe Biden did for the party's infrastructure and for our party's infrastructure. That right there kind of catches me off, because who was Biden running under? What type of, because I'm genuinely curious on this. What was Biden actually running under when it comes to the party? I assume it was just Democratic National, but was he actually under the DSA, Democratic Socialists of America? Because if that's the case, then I guess he did something good for the infrastructure. But if he wasn't, technically he led to more of a divide between the Democrats by not doing exactly what the Democratic Socialists wanted. And if you don't do exactly what they want, then that means you disagree with everything they agree with, and you're evil. So it depends on how the party's infrastructure is looked at in this type of situation. But yeah, let's continue on. That sentiment may be giving Democrats with Biden ties a real boost with Democratic voters, even when their work for his administration wasn't particularly well viewed. Becerra, whose cabinet role came about largely thanks to a push from the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, now highlights that work as executive experience no other Democrat can match. So yeah, they're using it to say, oh well, look at all these stats. Everyone knows everything was better under Biden, and because of that, you should vote for me because I helped Biden make everything great for everyone. Like, come on, guys. This is just how it is now. Like, that's kind of how it reads to me. Don't know if I'm viewing it wrong, but to me, that's I look at this and I read it and I'm like, yeah, that doesn't exactly surprise me. Who has had to declare a crisis, a state of emergency, of the candidates that are running at the scale of California? Becerra asked at a town hall meeting in the Central Valley last month. Only one candidate, me. Okay, so yep, just more humble bragging, of course. Republicans and one Democrat, San Jose Mayor Matt Mahan, viewed Becerra's Biden record as a weakness. At their last debate on April 28th, the only mention of the Biden administration came from Mahan, who used it to attack Becerra's record. The secretary has never met a crisis that he couldn't ignore, whether it was migrant children, the 85,000 who were lost, monkeypox, we were slow to respond, and then blame the gay community for the crisis, or COVID, where the Biden administration had to sideline him. Yeah. That is, That's a good one. Yeah. Here, let me highlight what you fixed, but let me highlight what died before you fixed it. Let's just reiterate that sure, some things were fixed. I'm sure some people felt better. I didn't, because none of the changes actually affected me. Nothing they did changed my life in any way, except made it a little bit more difficult to speak my mind. But now that things are changing, that's why I'm more interested in doing this. Mahan said, "You're not wearing a mask, are you, Matt?" Becerra shot back, "You are not worried about catching monkeypox, right? We were able to deal with these crises." Yeah, so you don't have to wear a mask because she fixed the monkeypox, which started because they didn't. Yep, you get it. The grumbling over Biden's record has been quieter in Georgia, where Republicans, nervous about their own messy primary, see Lance Bottoms as a weak potential nominee. Republicans quickly blended her Biden endorsement into their messaging, which focused more on the former Atlanta mayor's single term, as well as her perceived mishandling of the pandemic and national unrest that defined the summer of 2020. Keisha Lance Bottoms burned Atlanta to the ground. Trump endorsed GOP contender Burt Jones said on X, "Now she and Joe Biden want to do it again." Yeah, so they're basically just saying, look, you can say what you want. the problems that were started was because of you. So you fixing your own issues doesn't exactly, you know, mean anything. So you burn it to the ground. Why do you want to do it again? You fixed most of it that you burned to the ground, or some of it. I don't know. I don't really follow Atlanta. I should more, but I have not been. Unlike Picara, who endorsed Biden well after he won the 2020 nomination, Lance Bottoms was an early supporter who defended him to the hilt and made an early running mate list. In her memoir, published last month, Lance Bottoms writes that she turned down an unspecified cabinet job to finish her mayoral term. She spent just 8 months leading Biden's office of public liaison, saying on the way out that the president's poll numbers have gone up tremendously. Then served on the low-profile Presidential Export Council. As a 2024 campaign surrogate, she did not join the stampede of Democrats urging him to quit after his final debate with Trump. I was surprised by the president's performance. She wrote of Biden at the time. I had never experienced a moment with him that made me question his physical or cognitive abilities. Well, I mean, we've all seen the same things, right? We know exactly why people are questioning his cognitive abilities. I mean, it seems like he just kind of forgets things in the middle of talking, as well as falling down. Well, no, I guess Trump fell down the stairs too, so I can't say that. No, they're both bad. They're both old men. But Biden, I mean, I there's been so many situations where he's like, "What? Well, I never said that. What? No, you're a liar." And then we have it on video of him doing and saying the exact thing he's saying he didn't do. So like Co, she asked the former president for an endorsement and got it. Her Democratic primary rivals saw her record in Atlanta and D.C. as easy fodder for Republicans, but the ex-president's popularity with their own voters made it hard for them to attack first. Room for disagreement. Republicans from the White House on down enjoy contrasting the Biden record with Trump's and continue to blame the ex-president for the problems popping up now. Joe Biden's administration resulted in massive inflation, open borders, and a cover-up for his mental acuity, which I think the other thing to do with that was the how often he used an auto pen, kind of to show that he didn't want to invest the mental faculties into properly reading it or digesting the information. He'd rather just have someone else sign it and get it out of there. Just give me the Spark Notes and you sign it. I'm good with that. Whatever. Just sign it under my name. Like that's kind of the way it seemed, which I don't know. I don't know if that's a mental acuity or he's just lazy with it. I can't say which one. I'd almost bear towards lazy just because that's kind of the style they fit of like handouts and free stuff. But either way, said Republican Governors Association Communications Director Colin Crompton. The more candidates that Biden endorses, the more we will make sure voters know about it in November. Not to mention, plenty of Democrats believe that voters will be rewarded the candidate assessment that Biden stayed on too long and other elderly incumbents need to go. Exactly. Get the old people out of here. I'm for, after watching some of the J.D. Vance as well as the Marco Rubio speeches and conversations, they're the ones that I kind of want to target the next problems within the country. The younger generation. Let's do like a 55 to like a 65 or 70 max, and then keep it in that bracket. Make it so those ones are the primary people running that we vote on. I mean, let anyone run who wants, that's over the age of 35, but let's just as a country try to vote in someone younger just so we have a little bit more, they have a little bit more agency in the matters that they're actually addressing. They're not coming from old ideology. So Joe Biden's administration resulted in massive inflation. Yep, the more candidates know about Biden endorses, voters should know about in November. Not to mention, plenty of Democrats believe that voters will reward the candidate assessment that Biden stayed on too long and otherly incumbents. Yeah, so Representative Seth Moulton, Democrat Mass, who is challenging Senator Ed Markey in the party's primary this year, says that his early role in urging Biden to quit has been an asset with voters. Another thing lacking in this party is courage, Moulton said. It's about the courage to speak truth to power and to actually give voice to what people are saying on the ground. but people in Washington are too scared to say on TV. Yeah. David's view, any idea of the president's... So interesting, though, is that the Biden is trying at all stayed out of party politics until endorsing the vice president, Walter Mondale, for the 1984 Democratic nomination. Barack Obama didn't intervene in a primary until May 2018. And that was for... Yeah. Weinstein died in 2023. So, yeah. There's another reason why Biden is back, Democrats. So, yeah, I guess technically... A little bit of a clickbaity title. He's not technically running again. Not happening. They're just using the accreditation of his campaign and trying to brand it as like a success. Like a, look how good we did. Look how amazing we are. Look at the 2 things we did while we were working with the president. Look at this. Look at these 2 things that we did. Like, yeah, that's us. Yeah, we did that. Like, it's... I don't know. Use your own accolades. Don't use something that is such a negative representation on it already. It doesn't seem like... You're going to lose a lot of Democrats who've been pushed away because of what the Biden administration's party kind of censored. They kind of allowed labelization of individuals who disagreed with them even remotely, and because of that it created this weird paradigm of uncertainty within their own party. So I don't know, that it's an interesting one though. So I'd like to see the Democrats do more on their own without Biden and Harris being the primary conversation topics, but at this point I don't know what they're going to do because they keep attacking their own party. So anyone that's actually a viable option, they usually just kick them to the wolves, because if they disagree with one thing, well, then all of a sudden you're a Nazi. That's it. So thanks. All right. So that's good. And I will be right back. All right. So that one's good. One is done. I'll pop there. Grab that. All right, there we go. That one's good. And now, how long is this one? Not too long. All right. Yeah, 5-minute read. That's easy. So we'll just we'll grab that real quick. Get Some bars. All right. Now let's cover this one, because this one is pretty interesting. I found this. I like nature stuff. So when there's weird nature stuff like a giant tsunami filling something, 1,500-foot tsunami took scientists by surprise. Now we know why it happened. That's kind of interesting to me. I like to be aware of that kind of stuff. Changing environment, structure, how the world is evolving. I enjoy that. So yeah, it's something that's a I guess a passion of mine. I don't know. Not really sure. All right. So let's do this one. Hey, thanks for checking this out with me. So I like the this topic. I like this title. A 1,500-foot tsunami took scientists by surprise. Now we know why it happened. So it's by Megan Gannon, and this was May 6th, 2026. So today. This is a 5-minute read. By chance, a tour boat avoided a deadly tsunami set off by a retreat of Alaska's coastal glaciers. Scientists are working to spot landslides like this one that caused the massive wave to warn people. So they can warn people. Early in the morning on August 10th, 2025, Christine Smith awoke in a boat anchored in an inlet along southeast Alaska's glacier-threaded coast. They were leading a small cruise on their 65-foot wooden boat. The inclement weather had forced them to spend the night 50 miles from their planned anchor spot in Tracy Arm, a dramatic fjord to the southeast of Juneau. As the naturalist and chef on board, Smith prepared to make breakfast and write about the rainy, foggy conditions in her daily log. From the boat, and the captain. Okay, yeah. Alaska time would have awoken. What caused the collapse? All right, here we go. Over the past 2 decades, as the climate has continued to warm, most of Alaska's coastal glaciers have retreated, exposing steep U-shaped fjord walls. Researchers have been concerned that without their icy buttresses, these... I'm a juvenile. These walls could collapse. They've largely focused on areas already showing signs of instability, such as a slowly degrading slope in Berry Arm in south-central Alaska, where a massive landslide could send a destructive tsunami to the town of Whittier, 30 miles away in just 20 minutes. We have our eyes on a very small number of potential slides, and there are obviously way more. But the Tracy Arm tsunami shows that not all fjords exhibit slow collapse. At Tracy Arm, there's no indication that that was the case, says a geomorphologist at the University of Calgary in Alberta, so that's Canada, and lead author of the new study, which is also being presented today at the annual meeting of the European Geosciences Union in Vienna. European Union. No one likes the EU. Go away. No one likes you. Just dissolve. I'm salty. For no reason. Salty for no reason. Over the past year, Sugar and his co-authors have dug more deeply into seismic records and other observations of the glaciers to figure out what happened. They found that South Sawyer Glacier has undergone long-term thinning and retreat over the last century. More acute episodes of shrinking have been documented since 2000. In the spring and summer of 2025, the ice retreated inland several hundred feet at the base of the collapsed slope, exposing most of the rock that ultimately caused the landslide just days before the sudden collapse. It's quite a direct link. Wow. Retreated inland. So yeah, they're just melting. Using imagery and digital elevation models from before and after the slide, the researchers estimate that at least 2.26 billion cubic feet of earth collapsed, resulting in a loss of about 500 feet of coastline. Wow. They think the rupture likely extended even farther below the water's surface, but lack of bathymetry data to prove this. But they lack the bathymetry data. I don't know what that means, but we're just gonna... What is bathymetry? What? Let's just check it out real quick. Bathymetry. I don't think I spelled that right. No, I did. Study and mapping of underwater depth and topography. Why do they call it bathymetry? Well, oceanography is taken, so I guess that makes sense. Bathymetry, yeah. Like water for bathing. I don't know who came up with it, but bathymetry is the study of what's under the water in regards to environment, I guess. Kind of like depth and pressure and yeah. The resulting tsunami reached more than 1,500 feet up the side of the fjord and sloshed back and forth like bathtub water, creating a seismic ringing that could be detected around the world for up to 36 hours. Subtle seismic signals through the collapse and tsunami in Tracy Arm. Yeah, though the collapse and tsunami in Tracy Arm took everyone by surprise, such events might still have warning signs, just very subtle ones. Kaplan Kaplan Arbach just happens to study the micro-seismic precursors to landslides. So when she got that initial text from Smith, she started digging into seismic data from nearby stations. The big slide at Tracy Arm, 5.4 magnitude earthquake. Smaller events happened 24 hours prior, increasing exponentially in intensity. So why does it keep... The pattern in this case match the other landslides observed. She says more research is ongoing, but it seems these signals could happen as a slab of rock starts slipping, then jerking to a stop, then slipping again. We'd love to identify precursors as early as possible with the eventual goal of assessing where and when a landslide would occur, she says. It's possible that they occur prior to most slides, but we won't have enough seismic data to detect them. It's also possible that they only happen under specific circumstances. Holy damn. That one of them? That doesn't look like tsunami with trees and shrubs. Sawyer, South Sawyer. That's scary. That's scary, and that'll collapse. I don't like that. I don't like that. That's too big. That's too big. I don't like it. Ominous, like I don't know. Ominous, like Mount Fuji. Separately, seismic signals produced during a landslide could be useful for early tsunami warning signals. Unlike earthquakes, landslides often are not detected right away because the ground vibrations emerge relatively slowly, not impulsively, like an earthquake. Their signals are more likely to be noticed in the seismic data after the fact, if enough energy was generated to be picked up by the nearest seismic stations. Okay, another author on the new study, research seismologist at the Alaska Earthquake Center, has been testing the landslide detection algorithm. So far, the experiment system 35 landslides in near real time. But the system does not cover the area. So, I think now with the Tracy Arm event, everyone is trying to figure out what can we do to better characterize this hazard and then figure out a way forward. So adding more seismic stations, especially in Southeast Alaska, could help though that can be costly amid harsh terrain. That's why improving detection algorithms to better, yeah, so I don't know, maybe I bet you AI could do this. Like just have AI study the data and come up with some formula that can predict it. I mean, that'd be the fastest way to do it, right? Like you have the stations, the data, just have an AI do it. I mean, why bother paying 40 scientists to go out and actually try and do it themselves? Unless you need on the ground data collection, but I don't know, it seems like they have a pretty good idea of what's going on and why it's happening. They just can't track where it's going to happen. Saw the aftermath of the massive wave along beaches that had been stripped of their vegetation. Icebergs sat Courageous high rex, hemlock spruce trees. Some of them plummeted with their bark branched off. Okay, so yeah, I guess as water comes in and they melt, they cause erosion, which gets rid of the rock. 20 vessels, usually every day in the summer, including up to 6 large cruise ships. I'm carrying 6,000 passengers and crew. Those large cruise operators have said that they are avoiding Tracy Arm for this upcoming summer tourist season. Smith visited a few more times this past fall, but she doesn't plan to return this summer. She described feeling a bit of sadness after her near miss. I'll go to beautiful places, humbled by nature. That scar is there by the glacier is always going to be a reminder of what happened here, and it can happen anywhere. Man, that's crazy though. That right there. That is an insane photo. Could you imagine being like right here? Like you're just hanging out right here, right? And then all of a sudden this whole thing starts collapsing. Because like if that's a tree and that's a mountain and that's like that big to that mountain and all these are trees, you're like a microspec right here. And if you're a microspec, then you're like, how much can I zoom in? Can I zoom in? Oh, I can. Whoop. Whoop, too much zoom. Yeah. It's just, yeah, that's some scary shit, man. I don't know. The world is wild, that's for sure. So, yeah, thanks for checking this out. Alright, and I think that's where I'm going to call it on the stream. So now if anyone wants to watch that, they can. But the other two I'm going to try and turn into videos. One of them I'll probably end up actually editing a little bit to see if that is better for retention. Right now I'm just trying out different things. And I will be gaming at some point too. But yeah, this is pretty much just going to be this channel. Just random stuff. Random things. I got, like I said, I got RuneScape in the corner up here. You can see it. And I will probably usually have that on most of mine. Just as like an interactive thing in case someone doesn't want to sit here and listen. Or read the article. They can just look at what I'm doing in RuneScape. I'll probably end up changing that up at some point of where I'm going. And then maybe sometimes I'll play old clips in that box. But either way, that box is just for keeping people's retention. I know even myself deals with that. It's the attention span is low, and that's okay. So thanks for checking out the stream today. I will be back whenever I get a free chance. And then once I figure out a schedule, then I will post that as well, and I will be sticking with that most likely for the summer. And we'll see.